Okie dokie smokies. So here is the assessment that you're going to do for the civil rights unit. You're going to make what's called a one pager. And actually, you're going to make two one pagers. Okay. So a one pager is, you guys had this assignment if you had me last semester in the fall. You had this as a extra credit assignment. So this is an actual assessment. And what a one pager is some sort of visual representation of what it is that you're presenting. Okay. Um, you get to choose how this looks. You get to choose the images. You get to choose the content. You get to choose pretty much everything for this visual representation of the topic. Okay. You can use the internet. You can use, any textbooks I may have here in the classroom. You can use, anything, your notes, assignments, anything that we've done. You're going to create a one pager for two of the following civil rights movements. Okay. I think most of these we've touched on at some point in time, maybe two we haven't touched on yet. If you want to do those, you certainly can. There's a lot of information on these two that we haven't touched on. But you're going to create a one pager for two of these. So essentially, you're going to turn in two one pagers. Okay. So you can do the student movement, New Left, which was the beginnings of the protest movements in the the late 1960s. We haven't really talked on that a whole lot, but there's a lot of information out there. If you've seen the movie, The Chicago Trial of the Chicago Seven, this is who they are. Okay, the student movement, New Left. Civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the African American focus of the civil rights movement, women's liberation, the American Indian movement, or AIM. We haven't done a whole lot with that either, but there's a lot of information out there about the American Indian movement. They're the ones who are behind trying to move away from Columbus Day to American Indigenous Day, because their claim is that Christopher Columbus was a genocidal person who came in and began wiping out the American Indians when he showed up. So you could do the American Indian movement. They're also the ones that are behind a lot of schools changing their names. A lot of schools that have American Indian names, the Savages or the Chiefs or the Redskins or whatever. They're the ones that are behind that movement as well. The gay and lesbian liberation movement. That's the Stonewall riots and in the beginning of Pride Month and Pride Week and Pride Day and all that. And then the Latino movement, which really is the movement that really is kicked off by high school students. So you're going to choose two of those. I don't care which two you choose. It's totally up to you. Choose two that you liked or that you're interested in, and do a one pager for each of those. So you're going to turn in two one pagers. So I'm going to show you some examples here in a minute. So you're going to choose two of those civil rights movements. Okay. Now what you need to include on your one pager. Okay, you've got to include at least two leaders of the movement, as well as two quotes from leaders in the movement. So you're going to show those on the one pager, the two leaders, and you're going to have some quotes from leaders. You're going to have strategies of protest, and you can just write those out, or you can show them in some sort of creative manner. Were they legislative strategies? Were they getting laws passed? Civil disobedience? Were they protesting? Were they marching? What were their strategies of protest? Include at least two key events, two big events that they were behind to further their civil rights goals, and explain why they were significant, why these were important, why those events were important. Causes, what kind of caused the event to take place, what caused the civil rights movement to start, that civil rights movement to start. Have visuals and images, at least three, but you could certainly have many more than three. As you're showing the different strategies, or you could show, causes, certainly uh, pictures of the leaders, right? But you have to have at least three visuals or images on the one pager, on each one pager. Include one challenge or debate or opposition or controversy related to the topic. What's something that they did, or something that they proposed, or something that they wanted that was controversial? Because certainly everything that they were behind, either at that time or currently, is somewhat controversial. And so address that. And then also include, other important information, anything that was interesting or noteworthy, or anything that pertains to that civil rights movement. It could be, documents. You could have statistics. There could be songs that reflect or relate or show that civil rights movement, poems, whatever. Okay, so include those things on your one pager. Those are the elements you need to include on your one pager. Okay. So here's the requirement. You have to fill the entire page with color, with text and required visuals, right? The entire page has to be filled up. And again, I'm going to show you examples here, what it should look like. There shouldn't be any big blank open spaces on the one pager, right? You want to fill it up so the whole thing is, just really something for the eye to look at. And then make sure to label each your element. Make sure you label who the key leaders are, label what the strategies are that you're showing, label the key events, label the causes, right? So it's fairly obvious when I'm looking at it and grading it that I go, oh, yep, there's that element, and there's that element. Okay, so that's your one pager. That's your assessment. You're going to choose two of these movements up here. I don't care which two you choose. It's totally up to you. Choose two up here, and then create a one pager for each of those. Okay. If you have any questions or any problems, you have any concerns, whatever, make sure you contact me. All right. So just to be clear, you're going to turn in two separate one pagers, one for each of the civil rights movements that you choose. All right, so let's show you some examples of what good one pagers look like and what bad one pagers look like. Both of these here are really good one pagers, right? They're visual representations of the topic. The one on the left is about Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks and Ruby Bridges. So it's women. This one pager is about important African American women in the civil rights movement. And they've broken up into panels, which is absolutely fine for each of these figures. They have images to represent each of the figures. And then they've got just information around those figures about who they were, what they did, so on and so forth. You notice there's not a lot of white space on here. It is very, very colorful. It's very eye-catching, and it does provide you a lot of detail. So this is a really good example of a one-pager on the left there. On the right is a really nice one-pager about, I think it's about a story that a student read called The Road Ahead. And it's just a visual representation of what they think was happening in the story and what the story represented. They have a really nice border around here, these apostrophes, and they've got different quotes from the story, pictures of what they think the story is about, right? They're opening up a door, and then there's the road, and then at the end of the road is victory, right? So this is a really nice one pager as well. It's very colorful. The whole page is filled up, has lots of information, and it's the student's visual idea of what was happening in this. So both of these are really good examples of one pagers. The one on the left it's pretty good. There's a lot of color. It's about the Trail of Tears, which happens in the 1830s when President Andrew Jackson makes the Cherokee Indians march from Georgia all the way to Oklahoma. as punishment for them resisting Andrew Jackson when he told the Indians they needed to leave Georgia. So it's called the Trail of Tears. About 25% of the Cherokee Nation died on this journey. So this is what the Students One pager is about. Lots of pictures, right? And if you notice, unlike the previous one pager, these are just pictures that the student got off of the internet or got from somewhere, right? They're not hand-drawn pictures, which is absolutely fine. The one pagers don't need to be on a physical piece of paper. You can certainly do these digitally if you want to. And then they've got some quotes and information around explaining what the Trail of Tears was and what happened. Okay, so that's a pretty good one. That's not bad. There's a lot of open space, but this is a pretty good one. There's a lot of color, a lot of information, a lot of visuals. The one on the right is about tweeting, about Twitter, and this is a really good one. There's a really nice border kind of encompassing the one pager. There's lots of color, not a lot of blank and open space. They've broken this up into panels explaining what Twitter is, what's good about it, what's bad about it. So this is a really good one pager. Very nice visual representation of what Twitter is. This one on the left, this is about William Shakespeare, and they're comparing William Shakespeare Macbeth's to the musical Hamilton. Really nice border around the one pager. They have all these important ideas and words about Macbeth and William Shakespeare. Again, they've broken this up into panels. You certainly can do that, but it's not required. So they've broken this up into panels. This is all hand-drawn, obviously, very nice hand-drawn. I'm not grading you on artistic ability, just want to make that clear, right? Because I can't draw, so if you can't draw, that's fine. They've got some information around here about Macbeth and visual representations of what they think is happening and how it compares to Hamilton. The one on the left here, this also, it's a social studies one, and it's about tracing slavery in the march to freedom in different places around the world, going from slavery to freedom. They've got some visuals here. They've got some information, but holy cow, they've got a lot of open space, right? They should have, filled in this space with more pictures or more information. So there's your explanation of the one pager. What you're going to need to do, you're going to turn in 2 one pagers that are visual representations of the civil rights movements. How it looks, what you do, what you choose, all of that is totally up to you. Just make sure you meet all of these elements down here. Each one of these one pagers is worth 35 points. So this is worth a total of 70 points because, again, you're turning in 2 one pagers. Okay, choose any 2 movements up here. These elements are included in it, and that's your assessment. This will be due. I'm going to give you guys quite a while to work on this. You're going to have all of next week because we have testing, and I don't really see you guys a whole lot next week. So you have testing all next week. It'll be due the second time I see you the following week, the week of the 19th. So it's due either the 21st if you're in periods 1 or 3, if your periods 1 or 3, it's due the 21st. If your periods 6th and 7th, then it's due the 22nd. Again, if you have any questions, you have any problems, you have any concerns, make sure you come and see me. Make sure you ask, and I will help you as much as I can. All right, Panthers, good luck. and we will talk to you later.